I stared on my phone screen, the harsh blue light illuminating the darkening villa around me. The words swam slightly as I read them for the fifth, maybe sixth time. A text message from my sister Sophia. Just want to let you know the guest list is finalized. And we had to make some tough cuts. Hope you understand. Laugh you tough cuts. The phrase felt like a physical blow, sharp and unexpected, even though deep down perhaps some cynical part of me had been bracing for something. But this was a level of cash. Your cruelty. I hadn't anticipated tough cuts for me. Her brother, the guy who just 3 years ago had signed away a terrifyingly large sum of money I had meticulously saved for the down payment on my first apartment, concrete proof of years of hard work and gratification to get her out of a truly desperate legal situation involving a spectacularly failed business idea she'd rushed into without listening to anyone. The guy who put his own life, his career progression, everything on hold for 6 agonizing months. When she had that severe breakdown after last disaster's breakup, practically camping out on her couch making sure she ate, dragging her to therapy appointments, just keeping her afloat. The guy who'd quietly, repeatedly cover or rent paid off a car loan, which she forgot for months on end, smoothed over countless dramas she created. Yeah. That guy Sophie, his older brother Liam, reliable Liam, fixedly him. Always there Liam. And I was a tough curve from the guest list for her perfect high society wedding to Brandon. The sheer breathtaking audacity of it stole my breath. I wasn't some distant cousin, an old family acquaintance who had fallen out of touch. I was, or sibling, the one constant in her often turbulent life, the one she knew without question would always drop everything if she called in crisis. And she had just cut me out as if I were a +1 who couldn't make it a name on a spreadsheet that simply needed deleting to save a few bucks or fit a seating chart. A slow hot wave of disbelief started in my gut, a familiar not of anxiety tightening alongside it, but quickly morphing into something else, a cold hard anger. Is that to be a mistake, a terrible word, a mistake? I immediately called my mother. Her number was already my recent calls usually was for one reason or another, usually related to Sophia. She answered on the second ring, her voice bright, cheerful, completely unaware or expertly pretending to be of the bomb that had just landed in my text messages. Hey sweetheart, what's up? Everything okay, Mom? My voice was tight, carefully controlled. I've got a text from Sophia. She says the guest list is finalized. And I'm not on it. A beat of silence stretched long enough for the cheerful facade to drop, replaced by a carefully modulated sigh. Oh honey, she said. And there was that tone, the one she always reserved for times when I was expressing a legitimate grievance that inconvenient lead disrupted the family's desired narrative. It was laced with practiced sympathy designed to make me feel instantly like I was being overly sensitive, unreasonable, creating drama where there was none. Liam, don't make a big deal out of this. It's just a wedding. You're overreacting. Just a wedding. The phrase life. And like a second punch, twisting the knot in my stomach. Just a wedding. It wasn't just any wedding. It was my sister's wedding, an event my family, especially my mother, had been planning and talking about with almost obsessive focus for over a year. An event that was supposed to be a celebration of family, of new beginnings. And I was deemed irrelevant. Just a wedding. I repeated, my voice dangerously quiet. Mom, I'm a brother. How am I not invited to my own sister's wedding? What kind of tough cuts are we talking about here? She made it his sound, a little click of her tongue that conveyed exasperating, as if I were difficult child refuse. Zing, to understand a simple rule, Liam darling, better keep the guest list small. You know how expensive weddings are these days, especially with Brandon's family involved. They have expectations small. The lie was so blatant, so casually delivered, was insulting. Anger flared hot at this time. Mom, stop. I saw Sophie, his Instagram post last week. She was complaining about trying to figure out seating charts for over 250 people. That is not small. Another pause. This one felt longer, thicker, with unspoken truth and scrambling excuses. Then her forced air chuckle. Oh well, you know how these things are. Guest lists fluctuate, things change, and maybe with your demanding job and travel they just assumed you wouldn't mind skipping this one. Didn't want put pressure on you. Assumed I wouldn't mind. The sheer parcourse was staggering. They didn't want to put pressure on me by inviting me. But they had zero hesitation putting pressure on me to bail Sophia out of financial ruin, to put my life on hold, to be their emotional support. System whenever was convenient, I took a deep breath, tried keep my voice. This level, but the raw emotion was starting to break through mind, Mom. I rearranged my entire life for Sophia more times than I can count. I used my apartment savings. I stole my career for 6 months. I paid off debts where she ignored them. I was there for every crisis, every breakup, every time she messed up big time. But now when she's having her perfect day, the day that supposedly celebrate family, I'm not wanted because I might inconvenience them by showing up. Oh, for heaven's sake, Liam, stop being so dramatic. My mother's voice was sharp. Now the false sympathy gone. Replay. By genuine irritation, it's one single day, one event. You're overreacting, wildly overreacting. The word grated on my nerves. This wasn't about one day, it was about a lifetime of being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who always gave only to be deemed expendable when Mike and vignettes her presence didn't fit someone else's perfect picture. It was about being taken for granted until it became the default. I could see the rest of the conversation unfolding perfectly in my mind. More dismissals, more accusations of being dramatic, eventual half-hearted apology from Sophia delivered via text message weeks later, an implicit expectation that I would, as always, just get over it and fall back in a line. But something had shifted, that internal shattering. The years of quiet resentment of feeling like a resource rather than a person coalesced into a sudden absolute clarity wasn't worthy of an collusion. If my feelings, my history of support, my very presence could be dismissed as a tough cut, then fine, I was done being the family's safety net, their emotional dumping ground, their financial backup plan. If I was disposable to them, then I would make myself unavailable to them on up the phone without another word. Silence stretched in a villa, heavy and final. The familiar knot in my stomach was still there, but now was fueled by defiance rather than anxiety. If I wasn't going to be at Sophie's wedding feeling excluded and possibly dealing with some inevitable drama anyway, I was gonna be somewhere else entirely, where that actively celebrated my presence. Somewhere I was the priority. I was going on a vacation, a real one, an extravagant one, a statement. The idea solidified quickly. It wasn't just about escaping, it was about reclaiming my time, my peace of mind. And yes, the me, honey, I'd worked hard for and often spent on others' crises. I was going to sit at home and brood while they played happy family without me. If I wasn't important enough to be invited, I wasn't important enough to be available. When things inevitably went wrong, I grabbed my laptop. The screens go cold and determined in a damn room. I bypassed the usual budget travel sites. This wasn't a normal trip. This was a declaration of independence. I searched for the most luxurious, most exclusive destinations, private villas, all-inclusive 5-star service, far, far away. I landed on a resort in I'm all these over-water bungalow. Private infinity pool, dedicated butler service, the kind of place I'd only seen in magazines, telling myself it was ridiculously out of reach. Not anymore, the cost was staggering. But for the first time, spending that much money felt less like an indulgence and more like an investment in my own sanity. And self-worth. Every click, every filled-out form felt like shedding a layer of expectation, of obligation. The day the wedding weekend arrived, I was already thousands of miles away, settled into a first-class seat on an international flight, the hum of the engines a soothing contrast to the frantic energy I knew would be building back home. A flight attendant offered champagne, and I accepted, a small, almost defiant smile on my face. I took out my phone, flight mode of course for now, and snapped a quick picture, my legs stretched out in the spacious cabin, the crystal flute of champagne, a hint of the X of interior. My caption was calculated, designed to be seen to provoke guess. I didn't make the cut for the main event, shame guess. I'll just have to rough it here. Instead, Maltese bound hashtag. Tough cut hashtag. No regrets hashtag. Paradise bound. I knew who would see it, who would react, who would fuel. The reaction started painting the moment I landed and connected to Wi-Fi during a layover, friends cheering me on, cousin Jake's in a string of laughing emerges, and Carol, not the one who sided with mom, commented, good for you Liam, live your best life. And then the predictable. Once my mother's number flashed repeatedly, a flurry of angry texts. Where are you? Are you seriously skipping your sister's wedding for this? This is incredibly petty, Liam. Uncle David added his 2 cents. So this is you run off to or your sister needs you selfish. I read them all, a cold sense of satisfaction settling over me. They expected me to be sitting by the phone waiting for crumbs, maybe available for a last-minute favor. Instead, I was into paradise. I didn't respond to any of them upon arrival in a Maldives. The air was thick, warm and fragrant. A private boat with me across impossibly blue water to the resort, being greeted by name, handed a cold towel and a welcome drink before even checking in, felt so real. It wasn't just service. It was acknowledgement. I wasn't an afterthought here. I was the guest. The overwater bungalow was breathtaking, floor-to-ceiling glass, a spacious deck, my own private infinity pool that spilled visually into the ocean horizon. It was unreal. I dropped my bags and walked straight out onto the deck. The scale of the ocean, the quiet luxury, overwhelming. I took another picture, a wide shot of the view from my deck. The private pool prominent. My caption: when one door slams in your face, make sure the next one opens to an overwater villa with endless ocean views and zero drama. This view beats any wedding hall. Hashtag the island time. Hashtag peace at last. I knew would find its way back in this time. The hope wasn't just that they'd see it, but that they'd understand. Just for a moment would have felt like to be on the outside looking in. It's something beautiful. They weren't part of the first full day. Was pure unadulterated bliss. Room service, delivery boy. Breakfast right to my deck, fresh tropical fruit, warm pastries, coffee that tasted like heaven. I spent hours just existing, swimming in my private pool, reading a book, staring at the horizon. There were no calls demanding my time, no tax detailing a new family crisis, no expectation that I'd be anywhere or do anything for anyone else. It was just peace, deep quiet, so soothing peace. I casually checked my phone, mostly to see the reactions to my posts. Friends were amazed, some slightly envious, distant relatives expressed support, and I saw my posts for being shared. Then I saw the notification. I'd anticipated. Sophia had viewed my latest story. A grim, knowing smile touched my lips. She saw it, I imagined, or perhaps amidst the frantic final preparations, scrolling through Instagram, expecting to see me quiet, maybe posting something melancholic, and instead finding me in a mall, who's living a life she envied. Good literacy let her feel whatever she felt. A text came in from Marcus: man, those pictures are, and saying congrats on the escape. Heard about the wedding invite thing. Knew Sophia could be short-sighted, but wow, good on you for finally draw a line. You deserve this break more than anyone. I know his validation from someone who wasn't deep in a family drama, but knew Sophie, his history of, shall we say, self-focused men, a lot. He followed up, heard things were tense with Brandon's family. To Sophia, seemed really on edge about something unrelated to guest list leading up to the big day. I hope your peace isn't disturbed. His comment about Brandon's family and Sophia being on edge planted a small seed of curiosity, hitting at layers of drama. I wasn't privy to. My mind drifted back to the many times I dropped everything for Sophia. One memory in particular surfaced sharp and clear despite the years. The day I stood no lawyer's sterile office signing papers that obligated me to a debt that wasn't mine, using the money I planned to use for my first apartment, all because Sophia's can't-fail business venture had spectacularly imploded, and she was facing serious consequences. She was distraught, tearful, promising to pay me back, to never forget what I'd done. I'd reassured her, told her family sticks together. Later that week, she'd gone on a weekend getaway with friends she swore she couldn't afford, and when I gently reminded her about the money months later, she acted annoyed, saying I was stressing her out. It was one instance among many, but it solidified the pattern. I was a resource, not a brother in a reciprocal sense of the word. Looking out of the endless ocean, feeling the warm breeze, the bitter memory was still there. But for the first time, it was framed by a sense of liberation, not just resentment. I have finally chosen my own needs over their convenience. It was late afternoon, the sun beginning its slow descent towards the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues. I was floating in my private infinity pool, the water warm against my skin, a perfect cocktail balanced on the edge, utter complete peace. And then the storm hit. My phone, resting on a sun lounge, or started vibrating incessantly. Not social media pings, incoming calls repeatedly from Mom, Sophia, Uncle David, and Carol the good one, Cousin Jay. cousin Melissa, even numbers I didn't immediately recognize. The screen was a cascade of missed calls and urgent texts. Previous emergency Liam, call me now. Disaster at the wedding. Sophia, needs you. Where are you? My initial thought was annoyance, quickly followed by surge of adrenaline. Something major had happened. This wasn't a minor hiccup. This was panic, deep, widespread panic. I pulled myself out of the pool, grabbed a towel, and snatched up the phone, my heart starting to beat faster. I didn't answer. Instead, I scrolled through the deluge of messages, piecing together the chaos from the frantic previews. Brandon left. It's a mess. Aussie fight. He just walked out. My breath hitched. Brandon left. My mind raced. What could possibly make a groom walk out on his wedding day? I opened the text, the previews confirming the unthinkable. Cousin Jake, dude, you won't believe what just went down. Brandon had a meltdown in bail. And Carol, Liam, something terrible has happened. Please call your mother. Melissa. Okay, this is insane. Brandon is gone. Wedding's a total train wreck. You're not going to believe it. A twisted sense of morbid curiosity laced with a strange cold satisfaction washed over me. Their perfect day imploded. Then came the wave of texts directed at me, demanding my involvement. Mom, Liam, this is an emergency. Call me now. Your sister is hysterical. The family needs you. Uncle David, thanks for nothing. Liam, your sister is a mess and you're off on holiday while we deal with this disaster. You should be here. The audacity was astounding. Even face of the crisis. And finally, Sophie is taxed. Liam, please answer me. I need you. It's all ruined. Please, I need you now. When a carefully constructed facade had crumbled, one or plan B, me, the ever-reliable fixer, with thousands of miles away, deliberate. The out of reach. The same sisterhood dismissed me as a tough cut because my authentic presence might somehow detract from our carefully curated perfect day. A flicker of the old protective instincts stirred deep down. She was my sister. She was in pain. But it was instantly doused by the icy memory of her text message, Mom's dismissive tone, Uncle David's blaming message, Marcus's subtle hints about her being on edge and short-sighted in years of being treated as a convenience rather than a family member. They didn't need a brother, they needed their fixer. And the fixer was off duty permanently. I took another slow, deliberate sip of my cocktail, the coolness a stark contrast to the heat of my rising anger and the chaos erupting back home. I looked out at the sunset, still breathtaking, untouched by their drama. My decision felt not just justified but necessary. I typed my response to Sophia, choosing my way. Words carefully. It wasn't fueled by petty revenge, but by a cold, hard finality. It was the culmination of years of being taken for granted, busy, enjoying my overreaction in paradise. Hope your perfect day was memorable. Clean up on our wedding, then methodically differ. Tentatively, I blocked Sophie's number. A block. My mother's a blocked. Uncle Dave, it's a block. The numbers of any other family members I anticipated would try to guilt or manipulate me. I turn on do not disturb for good measure. Their carefully constructed world had collapsed. Mine in this moment was perfectly serene, Lee intact for the first out of my life. Their emergency was not my problem, and a feeling was one of profound liberating peace. The next morning, I woke to the gentle sound of waves lapping against the sill to my bungalow, the aroma of the ocean and blooming flowers drifting through the open doors. I stretched, feeling genuinely rested. The deep lines of stress that usually sat between my brows noticeably softened. For a glorious moment, nestled in the comfort of the luxurious bed, I almost forgot the pandemonium back home. Almost. Then I saw my phone. Despite the blocking spree, the screen showed a litany of missed calls from unknown numbers. They were clearly trying every relative's phone, every possible avenue to reach me. There are also several voicemails that had slipped through before I blocked. All numbers were from lines I hadn't anticipated and not returned. To my stomach, smaller this time, but still present, curiosity warred with a strong desire to just delete everything and remain in my bubble of peace. Curiosity won. I decided to listen to a couple stealing myself. Mom's voice was tight with fury and desperation, higher pitch than usual. Liam, how dare you ignore us? Your sister is completely broken. The wedding is a disaster and you're off. Wherever you are, this is absolutely your fault. If you'd been here, you could talk to Brandon. You could have calmed Sophia. You've abandoned your family in a crisis. You need to stop this selfish behavior and call us right now. The sheer breathtaking hypocrisy and the speed at which she shifted from victim to accuser was stunning. My fault for not being at an event. I wasn't invited to. I deleted it with a grimace. Sophie, his voicemail was a mix of sobs and choked words. Liam, please, I don't understand why you're doing this. You're my brother, I need you. It's all ruined, everything's ruined, just call me back. Was a genuine pain, or the sound of someone who's lost control of her narrative and desperately needed her usual damage control team given her history, her entitlement, her willingness to discard me. I leaned heavily towards the latter. Deleted. Uncle David's was shorter, harsher. Liam, this mess is costing a fortune.